Andy McKay has taken a new job after 10 years with the Mariners. We'll talk about that, plus some other minor Mariners news, and comb through the AL East for the best trade fits coming up. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. This is Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, we'll continue our divisional trade preview series with a look at the AL East. We'll tell you who the best trade fits are on the Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Orioles, and Rays this winter. But we're going to get started here by covering a few pieces of Mariners news. Before we do, though, I want to shout out our title sponsor today, FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. All right, so we got three pieces of Mariners news that we want to talk about here in the first segment. The biggest one, Andy McKay, Mariners assistant GM, who's worn a lot of different hats over the course of his 10-year span with the Mariners, has accepted a job with the Cleveland Guardians to join their coaching staff as their field coordinator, which is something that he's been wanting to do for a little while. He had the opportunity to do that with the Mariners a couple of years ago, but then something came up and he had to kind of go back into his more front office leaning role. So he's finally going to get to do what he's been wanting to do for a while. So congratulations to him on that front. But obviously this is a pretty significant loss for the Mariners because obviously he's one of the OG members of this regime. He was one of Jerry Dipoto's first hires when he got here in Seattle in 2015. And again, he's worn a lot of different hats. And when we've talked about how much, the makeup of the person has mattered almost just as much as the talent of the player when it comes to evaluating players for the Mariners has been, Andy McKay has been at the core of that. So that's a pretty significant loss. Again, like I said, just because of how the Mariners have operated for the last 10 years, he has been, a piece of that engine, really. Now, the Mariners have also made an addition to their coaching staff, and it's a pretty familiar name. It's kind of a funny name, actually. He had just signed a minor league deal with the Atlanta Braves, but was granted his release to become the Seattle Mariners bullpen coach. And that is Austin Nola, former Mariners catcher / utility man, who, of course, was traded to the San Diego Padres in that deal that brought back Ty France and Taylor Trammell and Luis Torrens and Andres Munoz. Now he's going to coach Andres Munoz. Now, what does this mean for Tony Arnrich, who was their bullpen coach this past year? We don't know yet. So we'll see on that front. So maybe there are more coaching changes to come on the Mariners staff, but Austin Nola is back, Colby.
It's funny. It was a bit of a surprise, certainly. And, I can't say I'm too surprised. Nola is a guy who makes a lot of sense that he would want to get into this. He's been a baseball lifer. He spent a ton of time in the minors. So he's very familiar with what it takes to climb up the ranks and get there the hard way. He's also a guy who was a shortstop coming up, and then he decided, hey, maybe I should try being a catcher. And he was a pretty good one for a couple of years. So he's got the catcher perspective. He also understands the perspective of, just like I said, the grind and what it takes to, be a big leaguer and how hard it is and all that. So, yeah, honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Nola might be a future manager someday. And just based off of, the bullpen coach before Arnrich, it might be a stepping stone to a major league manager job sometime soon. Who knows? So
maybe back-to-back manager of the year awards. Who knows?
Right. So yeah, it's funny because obviously, he got traded for Munoz, and now Munoz is his best player, I guess, if he's responsible.
He's coaching Munoz's bullpen, essentially.
And coaching is probably strong. I don't know how much he's actually going to help Munoz. But the bullpen coach job has always been a little bit undefined, at least publicly. But yeah, it's pretty funny to see. And hey, you know what? Now the Mariners have the best emergency backup catcher in baseball, because
there you go.
Happens. You're fired. We're going to re-sign you. Now you're going to play. Now we're releasing you. Now you're rehired as our bullpen coach. It works out great. Major League Baseball should bring the emergency backup catcher to Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
Yes, it's funny. It is interesting to say the least. Again, we don't know if there are any other shakeups that are happening or not. We don't even technically know that this has happened yet. The Mariners haven't made a release as of yet.
Yeah. I should say that this was according to Bob Nightingale.
Right. I mean, it probably comes directly from Nola and his agent. So I think it's pretty safe to say that it's going to happen. But yeah, still no official word from the Mariners on the McKay stuff either. By the way, there's been no farewell or anything, so I assume that'll come out.
But Shannon Dreher's talked about it now. And
these are all happening. I'm just saying, like, the Mariners haven't officially, confirmed them yet, and I assume we'll get that today at some point. With the MVP thing coming out tomorrow, I don't know if the Mariners are going to want to, release anything tomorrow. I imagine we'll get that today, and we'll see if there are any other shakeups. Usually the Mariners announce all their officially announce all their coaching changes at once. They do it in one press release. So if there are any more, we'll probably learn about it from there. But yeah, Nola, bullpen coach, funny. Does it make a positive impact on the team? I don't know.
Yeah,
but we'll see. But it is funny, and it is, nice. Nola was a really, good dude, and by all accounts, everybody was bummed to trade him, Jerry DiPoto included. Like, he got the Godfather offer, and he couldn't say no to it. It's good that he didn't say no.
Yeah, he traded him at the perfect time.
Yep.
And I mean, that's a franchise altering trade, really, when you think about it. So all right, so our last piece of news here. It's slow when Jeff Passan is tweeting minor league free agent news. I saw Jeff Passan, and then I saw the words the Seattle Mariners, and my ears perked up, and then I saw our signing minor league free agent pitcher Randy Dobnak. And I'm like, oh, okay. So another pile arm. Dobnak obviously carved out a decent career with the Twins. Didn't pitch in 2022 and 2023 with finger issues. I believe he had like a finger strain that cropped up a couple of times. And then he was traded in the Chris Paddock deal to the Tigers along with Paddock this summer. Now he's in the Mariners organization. He's another one of the pile arms, and that's now 4 guys already that we know about. 3 guys: Wilcox, Lutos,
Dobnak.
Is there
the only
Dobnak?
3 I can think of.
Yeah, maybe it's only 3. Yeah.
The thing about Dobnak and Wilcox, though, is that they both have starting experience. So could this be AAA depth? Could this be, we think we can get something out of them in the bullpen? I don't know, but the Mariners are taking care of their pile arms pretty quickly here. That's all this is. It's AAA depth, and you see, because Dobnak has had some success at the big league level. It's been a while, but he has had some success. And again, he does kind of have that ability to be a swingman, kind of go back and forth. Maybe he's the new Casey Lawrence. He does have a minor league option left too, by the way, which is
he has 2,
I guess, worth noting. Yeah, so I guess that's worth noting. You could put him on the 40-man and then just send him back down, without having to expose him to waivers. So, unlike Casey Lawrence, where you had to DFA him every single time you wanted to get him off your roster. Now they could always re-sign Casey Lawrence. I think that'd be awesome. But these are all pile arms, and it is kind of funny to see Jeff Passan breaking the Randy Dob. It's like Jeff owed his agent a favor, and they're like, Jeff, I'm cashing in on this for Randy Dobnak. But no, it's definitely a note. He will be one of the names of the, when we get asked inevitably, like, who of the non-roster invitees are you most interested to see from? Dobnak is going to be one of those guys, just because he's a name. Like, he is a major league veteran name who has a shot here. And, maybe he is this year's Drew Pomerantz, and maybe the Mariners actually keep him and give him a shot this time. I don't know. Yeah. Would be nice.
Yeah. It'll be his age 31 season coming up. And again, he's got 2 minor league options, some major league success here.
He's a swing guy.
Yeah. Great beard. And he wears the goggles too. So Trent Thornton replacement, maybe?
I mean, should be hearing about Trent signing his minor league deal sometime next month.
Yeah. I assume that the Mariners are going to bring back Trent as well.
Yeah.
More goggles, guys, the better. All right, so we're going to switch gears here. We are going to comb through the AL East as we continue our divisional trade preview series in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by both Gametime and Doer. NFL season is back, and there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Gametime, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. It's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I bought tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, download Gametime today. Man, I am super stoked about the new jeans I have arriving soon from Doer. I've heard the most amazing things about these jeans. I mean, I can't wait to wear them. Let me tell you why. Doer jeans have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. They're antibacterial, meaning your jeans stay fresh longer so you can wear more and wash less. And it's made with Cool Max, which keeps you cool and comfortable as temperatures change. Doer also combines the classic jeans wear style with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear. So it really is the best of both worlds. And Doer are absolute pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented the original performance denim. So simply put, Doer makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. Get a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift. Go now to shopdoer.com/lockedonseattle. You'll get 15% off your first order. That's shopdoer.com/lockedonseattle for 15% off. Shopdoer.com/lockedonseattle. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen, and also thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Let's kick off our AL East trade preview here with a look at the Toronto Blue Jays, the team that knocked the Mariners out in the playoffs, of course, and we're only 2 outs away from winning the World Series before Miguel Rojas happened. Oh, no. I'm so sad about that. Darn. The reason that I want to start with the Blue Jays here is because I just don't think there are any trades here. I don't think there's a path to any significant like major leaguer trade between these two teams. Am I wrong on that? Do you see something here?
Well, the Mariners have a need at first base. And the Blue Jays happen to have one of the best in baseball. A little overrated, sure, but that playoff run is undeniable.
I mean, we know that they tried for him 2 years ago, Colby. Yeah. So
Jerry always circles back. So no, there's really not much here. I wrote down like Jeff Hoffman and like Anthony Santander. If there's some kind of contract swap the Mariners want to be involved with there, maybe, but no, there's just
Santander is really complicated because of the deferred money.
Right,
Hoffman, maybe. I've thrown out that Castillo to San Diego, Cronenworth to Toronto, and that would be if Bichette leaves in free agency, and then Hoffman to Seattle deal. But yeah,
right. It would have to be something like that, I think, to see any kind of noteworthy deal with the Blue Jays. They could swap, some relievers or something like that. But yeah, in terms of like noteworthy additions, I don't see anything happening with Toronto this winter. The teams are too similarly built in terms of strengths and weaknesses and what they're looking to fill. I don't see a good fit here.
Yeah, same. All right. How about the Yankees? Another team that's obviously going to look to try and win the World Series in 2026. Right. So
makes them a little more difficult, but there's certainly more options here than the than the Blue Jays. Mostly in their bullpen. They tried to build this bullpen of death thing, and it really didn't work for them. But you'd still be interested in a guy like Doval, maybe a Mark Leiter junior type, maybe a Jake Bird, even though he really struggled on his way over. You're not going to get Bednar, but you might get one of those type of guys. And then there are a couple of offensive players that I think make some sense here. Jose Caballero.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably going to be the opening day shortstop for them because Volpe is going to miss time next year. But Cabby would be a great, right-handed hitter off the bench, hits the lefties, can do a little bit of everything. He's basically Leo Rivas, just better at pretty much everything. So he'd be interesting. Also, Anthony Volpe himself. There's a strong possibility that the Yankees are just done with Volpe, and the Mariners have liked him for quite a while, or at least they did. In his draft year, they almost took him, and I imagine that still is the case. He would be a pretty significant upgrade defensively over J.P. Crawford, and ironically, his situation is very similar to J.P. Crawford, where he is a West Coast guy going out east. Doesn't really, fit in with the culture of the fan base, and the fan base is kind of sick and tired of him, and he can't hit, and blah, blah, blah. It just feels like he's a good change of scenery guy, and I think the Mariners would probably be interested at the right price. And then last, I just throw this on here just because I had heard, maybe read, I don't recall how this got in my brain, but there were some whispers at least that Jazz Chisholm might actually be available for some unknown reason. Don't think it's very likely, but yeah, there's a few. I think Caballero, maybe Volpe. I think almost certainly is going to get traded, and then Doval, Mark Leiter Jr., a couple of bullpen arms like that. So there are some options here. It's just not an ideal fit, I don't think. Yeah,
could be a sneaky candidate for a Luis Castillo trade here. But yeah, overall, I don't really see too much of a path to a significant deal between these two teams, really. Right. Let's talk about the Rays here, just because we've talked about them a lot already. You talked about them quite a bit yesterday when you did your top 5 trade partners. They were number 2 on your list, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. So we've talked about Yandy Díaz. We talked about Brandon Lowe for years now. Maybe this is the offseason. It finally happens. At least one of those guys makes their way to Seattle.
Really makes no sense for the Rays to hold on to either of them heading into spring training.
Yeah. I want to talk about Garrett Cleavinger more, though, because we haven't really talked about him. I mean, we talked about him a bit yesterday, and mostly because I was so confused about how his F4 was only 0.7. But Cleavinger, it would be expensive, but God, he would be a really, really nice fit for this club.
Some might even say he's a daddy. So, yeah, you kind of want that left-handed stud to pair with Munoz and Spire. It's Garrett Cleavinger. He's got 2 years of club control left, by the way, and he's only set to make $2 million this year in arbitration. So, yeah, he checks a lot of boxes and misses bats, which is what you want. A bit of a home run problem last year, kind of, but also pitching in a AAA ballpark. Well, technically a high A ballpark. So, I think T-Mobile Park would help him a little bit, but he's already really good, even without the ballpark advantage. I think that would be very expensive, but like we talked about yesterday, boy, if only the Mariners had the thing the Rays need more than anything, a young, athletic, pre-arb catcher who's major league ready and probably should make an opening day roster. If only they had one of those lying around, because that would be the perfect fit for the Tampa Bay Rays.
And, Ryan Divish in one of his latest pieces said, quote, "The Mariners will be looking to add depth to the bullpen this offseason. They would like to add an experienced leverage arm similar to Duran, as well as another left-handed reliever to help out Spire." Well, Cleavinger would check off both of those boxes.
Right. And he'd do it to the tune of just about $2 million in arbitration this year. Honestly, you might be able to get a Yandy Cleavinger package. It would be very expensive, but again, you do have Harry Ford.
Yeah.
We know the Rays have liked in the past, and we know that the Rays desperately need catching help, young catching help. So it might be a Harry Ford, Ryan Sloan type of deal. I don't know, but yeah, the Rays continue to make a ton of sense, like we talked about yesterday. And there's multiple pieces in that bullpen that are worth taking a shot on, like Edwin Uceda.
Yeah. How
big
much?
swing in this guy.
You know what I'm curious about, especially when we talk about Diaz and Lowe, how much of a premium is added because of the extra half a year you would get on these guys? Because like we saw, like, you know, we were expecting that Eugenio Suarez was going to cost way more than he wound up costing, right?
That was the report from like Passan and company. So
and again, like the Mariners did not spend a single like top 10 prospect, top 100 type of guy on either Naylor or Gino. It was mostly just kind of like the bulk guys that were there in that like 13 to 25-ish range in our list.
Right. The guys who kind of sniffed the big leagues a little bit, but didn't carry tremendous upside.
So for someone like Diaz or Lowe, but mostly Diaz, because I think he's a better comp to like the Naylor and the Naylors and the Suarez's of the world. How much of that extra adds to the cost, do you think?
Twice as expensive.
Wow. So then we're talking about like one top 100 guy.
I think so. Yeah. Or it could be a bulk deal. Tampa's kind of known to take some bulk. Just based on what I heard last winter, I do know that Tampa likes Harry Ford and they like Felton Celston, which duh. So maybe one of those guys for Yandy. Last year, I think they were probably asking for 2 would be my hunch. And that just wasn't going to happen. But yeah, maybe now. But yeah, Yandy, I think is going to cost at least one top 100 guy. Lowe, because of his injuries, concerns, because of his platoonness, I think it's a little bit more than you would get for him or than you would give up for him in the middle of the year. But I would say maybe like 20, 30%. I don't know. It's tough to say. And then, yeah, like I said, there's a lot of bullpen guys here. That makes sense as well. Cleavinger being the big one, but I really like Uceda. I like that he is a changeup heavy guy, which the Mariners don't have in their bullpen right now. Also, a guy like Cole Sussler be pretty interesting. I threw Josh Lowe on here. He's just so much like Dom Canzone and whatever. And then also maybe you want to take a shot on a rebounding Kevin Kelly. It kind of gives you a unique look out of that bullpen. There are a lot of bullpen guys here that make a lot of sense for the Mariners, and the Rays always make sense to trade for the Mariners because even when the Rays are good, they're willing to trade major league talent for prospects. The Rays probably aren't going to be good next year. They're probably starting the year as the 4th best team in that division at best. And they have a ton of young guys that they want to give playing time to who are blocked by young to mid 30-year-old offensive players who have 1 year left on their contract. There's no reason for the Rays not to trade Diaz and Lowe this winter. And they honestly should be listening on Cleavinger, especially Andy Uceda, because they could probably get a haul for Cleavinger right now.
All right, so let's talk about the Orioles and the Red Sox, a couple teams that we talked about a lot last offseason. Haven't really talked about much this offseason yet, so we'll dive into both of those rosters in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, we have a Patreon. It's called Control the Zone, and on there we talk Mariners, Seahawks, all that good stuff. For more information, go to patreon.com/Control the Zone. Link in the description of this episode. All right, let's wrap up our AL East trade preview here, Colby. Let's talk about the Boston Red Sox. We talked about them a lot last offseason because the Luis Castillo to Boston rumors just never really died until we got to like mid spring training, really. Like the rumors were still kind of buzzing even after the Mariners started playing games down in Peoria. But Luis stayed, and obviously he was a huge part of the 2025 club and stabilizing that rotation. I'm not sure if those talks will kick back up between these two clubs. I don't really think that Fenway is a great fit for Luis. So I don't think the Red Sox should be all that interested in him, frankly.
Were last year.
But they were last year, so I don't know.
They've talked about today that they would, or not today, but yesterday they apparently said at the GM meetings that they would like somebody to pitch, side by side with Crochet. So they would like a second ace or whatever, but that they will explore like all avenues to improve their starting pitching. So maybe but I don't know if anybody that I'm talking about would actually be in a trade for Luis. I looked at that. I couldn't find anything that made a ton of sense for both sides. So it does feel like the Luis to Boston thing probably not going to be a discussion point this winter, but maybe, who knows?
Yeah, we know that the Mariners have had interest in David Hamilton. Apparently, he was part of those discussions. I know more so like people in Boston were talking about Hamilton being involved in those discussions. Do they? Okay, so
Red Sox fans are not fans of David Hamilton. Let's put it that way.
He wound up getting sent down last year and only posted a 60 WRC plus, but he's a highly athletic guy. Stole 33 bags in 2024, even stole 22 in 2025, despite the overall down year offensively. But he was a 1.6 win player in 2024. So maybe the Mariners look to kick the tires on David Hamilton. I can't imagine it would cost really much of anything. And he does have
more replacement.
And he does have a minor league option left. So yeah, keep Hamilton's name in the back of your mind. Nathaniel Lowe is someone the Mariners obviously showed interest in last year. He's on the Red Sox roster, so
probably going to be non-tendered, but maybe not.
Yeah. But outside of Hamilton, anyone else here that stands out to you?
Sure, there's three guys. I just don't know how they would get them. It's Jaron Duran, who we've talked about a lot. It is Wilyer Abreu, who we've talked about a lot. And it is Tristan Casas, who we've talked about a lot. So Casas, maybe if you miss out on Naylor, that might be a way to go. I think the Red Sox are just done with Casas. He gets a lot of bad, he's got a bad rep, I guess I would say, because he's kind of out there, which probably works just fine out here in Seattle, and it might not work that well out in Boston, at least, based on your perceivedness. But obviously we talked about this. Casas has injury concerns. He has a very, a ton of torque in his swing, and he had, oblique issues over the years and all that. Like, there is some real injury risk here. He's not a good athlete, and he really only has one really good year of offensive output. So I think he might be somewhat cheap. I really don't think the Red Sox are going to get a ton for him right now, because word's basically out. They don't want him. Like, they want to get rid of him. So Casas, maybe the DH, maybe if you miss on Naylor, that might be a pivot point. But we did hear that the Mariners didn't think Casas would translate well to T-Mobile Park. And it's like, okay. We don't know if that was just a ploy to get more from the Red Sox or whatever. Who knows? Abreu would be fantastic. He is a Gold Glove caliber outfielder who hits righties really well. Doesn't really hit lefties all that well. At least that's the perception of him. But he would be awesome. And just, again, how do you get him on your roster? It'd be tough. And then Duran is, I feel very confident. Duran is going to get traded this winter, but I think he's probably going to get traded for, like if you're Detroit and you're trading Skubal, you're asking for Duran and some of the Red Sox top prospects, and the Mariners just can't match that. So either for Skubal or Duran, but I threw him on this list because he is going to get mentioned in trade talks, and he does, fit a need. Both him and Abreu. I don't think they're likely to be traded to Seattle. No. I don't think they're. And when I say likely, I don't think there's even like a 5 or 10% chance they get traded to Seattle. But if they are on the market, Seattle should be interested, and they should be talking, because those two guys would definitely help. And then Casas is kind of a lottery ticket, but an interesting one to say the least.
Yeah. Again, if these two clubs make a trade with one another, I think it might be like David Hamilton for some prospect you've probably never heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like David Hamilton for,
honestly, maybe even Cash.
Yeah, I don't know, whoever the new Jeter Martinez is.
Yeah. All right. Lastly, the Baltimore Orioles, who are in a weird spot. Obviously, they had a lot of hype, a lot of momentum going into 2025, and it was a disaster of a season for them, frankly. And they didn't really, do much of anything in the off season. They let Corbin Burns walk. He wound up going to Arizona, and they didn't really do much of anything after that. Like, they signed Tyler O'Neill after Anthony Santander went to Toronto. And that did not work out at all for them. O'Neill was worth negative 0.3 F4, 91 WRC plus. Yikes. So apparently, though, according to Mark Feinstein in an article that he wrote yesterday, people around the league are expecting them to be aggressive this winter. So we'll see if they change tune, and we'll see if they're actually willing to spend some money.
Sure. They thought the same thing last year, though.
Yeah. So again, we'll see. But yeah, so this team seems more like it should be primed to try and retool to go compete and try and win that division again. But yeah, I mean, there are some possibilities here. Maybe anyone stand out to you?
I mean, not really stands out, but like Felix Bautista would be awesome, but he's probably going to miss all of 2026. So you're really trading for 1 year of that guy, and it'll be the year coming off of his injury. But yeah, I mean, you want to sit on Bautista for a year and then try and get him ready to go in 2027. Fine. The price has to reflect that, though. Ryan Mountcastle is fine. Like, he's right-handed complement. He's only got a year left before free agency, but he's going to make about $8 million. Might be something Baltimore's not too keen on, doing, especially if they are going to cheap out a little bit here. Jordan Westberg, just because we have to mention him, would be interesting. I don't see how you get him without giving up Bryce Miller or Brian Wu, and that's an LOL hard pass. Heston Kierstad, because we always have to throw him out there. Basically, if you talk the Orioles, you are contractually obligated to mention Westberg and Kierstad and whatever to both of those guys. And then again, this is kind of a dark horse for a Luis Castillo trade destination. Yeah. But unless they are going to get very aggressive with their money, then you're probably going to have to do something like take Tyler O'Neill's contract. And he is the antithesis of what the Mariners look for. So I don't think that's likely, but I'll throw him out there just as a possibility. So again, there are definitely some guys who make sense. It's just, Baltimore is kind of a weird team, and the player, like your positions that you need filled, are mostly filled on their end by young, major leaguers that they want to give playing time to. So there's just not really a natural fit here. They don't have any starting pitching that you're really all that interested in. I would watch them for the Luis Castillo thing, especially if they are actually going to try and spend money this winter. There could be something to play there, but you're not getting Westberg or anybody like that for this version of Luis Castillo. So there's some names, but nothing I'm too overly excited about.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For Colby, Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez, and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.